The aim of Black Mental Matters is to tell experiences with honesty. Therefore, some discussions may trigger an adverse reaction. If a discussion is beginning to upset you, we advise that you please stop listening and talk to your support team.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Black Mental Matters, where real talk meets real healing. I'm your host, Vince Du Bois, and today I am honored to welcome a woman whose life and work represents the highest levels of service, strength, and soul. I'm speaking of none other than Chief Judge Shondeana Morris. From her days as a young girl in DeKalb County to becoming the Chief Judge of DeKalb Superior Court, Judge Morris has fought for justice with heart. But behind the robe is a story of resilience, advocacy, and a deep personal commitment to mental wellness, especially after, like me, experiencing the loss of her own father to suicide. In fact, at a recent State Bar of Georgia Board of Governors meeting, Judge Morris reminded us that lawyers and judges are not immune to stress, loneliness, or burnout. 4 attorneys died by suicide in just the last 6 months. Her message was clear and powerful. Be kind. You're not alone, and it's okay to not be okay. Today, we're going to talk about trauma, truth, and transformation, an episode you won't forget. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Chief Judge Shondeana Morris. And the crowd goes crazy. How you doing, Judge?
I am doing well, Vince. Thank you so much for having me today. I really, really appreciate this. So I'm super excited about being here and being here with you today.
Well, I am excited. I appreciate you. You're an award-winning judge. And in fact, a few years back, I was filming you for an award that you were receiving from the Georgia Association of Black Women Attorneys. And we shared, our personal little bit with each other, and found that we had, this passion of mental health and helping others in common. And it's just been a beautiful relationship ever since. So I really appreciate you and what you've been doing, Judge. So you're right at home. I mean, you raised there in DeKalb County. What was young Shondeana like? And when did you first realize you wanted to pursue law?
So you know what? I tell people all the time, I am a true Georgia peach, born and raised. I graduated from the University of Georgia, received my undergraduate degree in journalism, so go Dogs. I went on to Albany State College, received my master's degree in criminal justice, go Rams, and received my law degree from Mercer, so go Bears.
Yes.
And there's just nothing like Georgia, but a young Shondeana. My family, and particularly my mother's family, was from a small town called Ashburn, Georgia. And a lot of people probably are not familiar with this, but Ashburn is in Turner County and is close to Cordell.
Mm.
So every summer as a young child, I would spend my summer with my grandparents, great grandparents, cousins. And I remember one summer in particular, I spent a lot of time with my great grandparents. Well, my great grandparents could not read and write, but they were very successful. They worked very hard. And so they had a lot of property. And one day, some people came over, presented some documents to my great grandmother, and she signed those documents. And because of that, my family lost a substantial amount of property, and I saw the devastation that it had on my family. And so from that point on, I knew that I wanted to do things to help people. So that kind of started that trajectory towards the law. So
Yes.
ever since then, I've been trying to do what I can so people can have a trust and confidence not only in the judiciary where I am now, but just in overall our legal system.
Yes. Well, sometimes, the lemons, you have to turn them into lemonade,
Absolutely.
one way or the other. When you first, you were in journalism school, and like you say, criminal justice, and became an attorney, now judge, serving in multiple critical roles in Georgia's legal system. What values you think, Judge, have guided your rise from prosecutor to now being the chief judge?
I think, the values that my parents instilled in me in terms of, hard work, dedication, education. And so I took those on. And so my mother was an educator at Washington High School. She was actually the librarian for over 30 years. And my father worked at Lockheed Martin. And so together they instilled those values of hard work and just ensuring that you have the determination. And, as we know, life has its tragedies, its ups and downs, but you just got to persevere and just keep going, even when it seems like it's almost impossible.
Yes, yes. You've been very busy in your career. You're deputy district attorney, led some units, public integrity, crimes against women and children, community-centered justice, and along that way, what I'm so excited about also is that you've mentored countless youth and young professionals. Mentorship, I'm sure, that's a key part or key piece of the Shondeana Morris legacy, don't you think?
Oh, that's what makes me happy.
Yes.
It truly does. And I was just sharing a quote with someone a couple of days ago, and Shirley Chisholm's famous quote, "Rent is the service of which we pay." And I may have butchered that, and I apologize, but in essence, it was so many people that were really instrumental in helping me, not only my parents, but just the entire community, your cousins, your aunts, and then in addition, uncles, and in addition to that, just lawyers and judges. And one in particular, former Court of Appeals Judge M. Yvette Miller. She was the first person that believed in me in terms of with my legal career. And so as a young law student, I didn't, I'm a first generation lawyer, and it was Judge Miller from Macon, Georgia, who gave me an opportunity. And so she called me one day and she said, "Have you sat for the bar yet?" And I said, "No, I'm anxiously awaiting my bar results. So I'm waiting to see." And she said, "Well, listen, I got a little job for you. It doesn't pay that much money, but if you want, you can be my law clerk until you receive your bar results." And she said, "It only pays like $35,000." In my mind, I was like, "Oh my God, I'm rich." Like, yes, 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 yes.
Yes.
So she gave me that opportunity, and from there, and we still have a very, very good relationship. She retired, I believe it was last year, from the bench,
Yes.
but just those relationships, that sisterhood, that foundation, just helped pave the way. So what I try to do now is on the bench, and off the bench. If it's any, aspiring lawyer or, judge, they can always come to me, and I try to give them guidance and advice and encourage them, because I believe we have the greatest profession, because a lawyer has touches every aspect of one's life, whether it's your property, your life, liberty, property, pursuit of happiness. All of that at some point in time, a lawyer and or a judge has touched it before it gets to where you need it.
I tell you what, you had a great mentor. I know Judge Justice, right? Or did she make it to the judge? But Yvette Miller, Judge
Yes, she
Miller.
was the Chief Judge and Presiding Judge of the Georgia Court of Appeals.
Court of Appeals, that's right. And I, have an opportunity to interact with quite a few in the judiciary, and it is a very special group of people. And so again, yeah, your mentor was something else, and you paying it forward. Recently, I had on the program an advocate for the foster care system, and what a great conversation, and the way he broke it down. And I understand you also are a former foster parent. I'm actually named after a foster child that my mom, they wouldn't let her keep. Um, but we really honed in on, as we move into, talking about mental health,
Mhm.
how we can better support youth in that system, especially their mental and emotional health. You have some thoughts about that?
Oh, absolutely. So I will share and be very quite candid. I say that God works in mysterious ways. So, I had prayed and prayed and prayed for a family and multiple children, and God blessed me with two. So my oldest child, my son Joe, he is doing very well and thriving.
Yeah.
And I say Harmony is my surprise baby. So I joke and I say all the time, I literally went to work back in 2015. I went to work one day with one child and came home with two. So Harmony is just truly a blessing. So Harmony, um, her biological parents had some various issues, and as a result of those, I went to Rockdale Medical Center with my family, and at the time, Harmony was 3 days old. She was a 3-day-old infant,
Mm,
and that started my journey as a temporary guardian to then a foster parent. And Harmony is my child. So we adopted Harmony back in 2017, and that's my baby. And
yes.
so it's truly a blessing. But what I realized with Harmony. So I will share this. And how candid can I be, Vince, on this show?
You can be as candid as you like. We ain't all in this together.
Well, so with Harmony, when when I brought her home from the hospital, one of the things that I was directed to do was take her to see the pediatrician within a week of her being released from the hospital. So I recall going to the hospital, going to the pediatrician's office, and it was a location in Rockdale County. And when I got there, the receptionist wasn't so nice. And so the receptionist made some assumptions. And so her comment was, "Hey, if you don't have insurance, then we're not going to be able to see you." And I said, "Well, I am a temporary guardian and I have, a temporary insurance card for, so she needs to have a physical visit, a physical examination." And so she said, "Well, if you don't have insurance, again, this child won't be treated." And so at that point, I said, "Well, you know what? Well, I have insurance, so regardless whether you do or not, you're gonna see this baby.
Mm,
So if I have to pay for it out of pocket, then I am." And so she makes a snide comment. I take Harmony to the back and we go see the pediatrician. Well, the pediatrician's first response was, "Well, where's the mother?" I don't know, but that's not why we're here. We're here for you to examine this child to make sure that this child is thriving. And so he barely spent any time examining her. He barely put the stethoscope on her. And then he said, "Well, she's fine. And you need to bring her back in such and such time." And I said, "Well, I tell you what, I'm not bringing my child back here."
uh,
And I said, "So I'm going to take her to see someone else." And so after that, I didn't take her back. I took her to to our pediatrician, the pediatrician that my son had at the time. And that pediatrician spent about an hour with her, and she said, "Oh, she's healthy, she's a delight. Just make sure as you continue on to engage her, read to her, make eye contact with her, and she will thrive." And so we did that. And, I'm very, very proud to say I'm proud of both of my. But with my baby, which is Harmony, she has straight A's and B's. She sings. That's part of the reason her name is Harmony. And she's just a very, very lovely child and just a pleasure to be around.
Yeah.
And so, in terms of for me and with Harmony, because of those experiences, I will share that in 20 uh, let's see, it was, I want to say in 2019, I was appointed to the Superior Court by Governor Kemp. And then shortly thereafter, around September of 2019, I shared with Governor Kemp about my experiences with Harmony and being a foster parent, and he appointed me to the State DFACS Advisory Board. And
Yes.
so, long way to answer your question, working as an advisory board member for DFACS, it gave me an opportunity to see throughout the state how we have so many children that are in our system under defects care, and what as all children, what they need to be successful is love, education, and that motivation and inspiration. So, children that are in the foster care system, if we can just do more things to ensure that they have the resources, but not only the resources and the tools, but the time, love, and support. And they're just really a delight.
Yes, they are. Yes. But thank you so much for sharing that. You are very willing to share, and you
Mhm.
bravely shared. Like you said, when we met and we talked, that your father, like mine, had died by suicide. Loss that no child, none of us should have to bear, but it is a fact of our life. And so, first, I'd just like to ask, how did that shape, moving forward for you, and in your mission? I know it's, tragic as I think about it, and yeah, uh, but what I like to say is, it gave me strength to, uh, want to help others, and the desire to make sure, you don't know what people are going through, and sometimes just a smile can change a trajectory just like that. Uh,
Absolutely, absolutely. So with my father, even to this day, it's yeah, it catches you at different moments, but um, and that's why it is so very, very important to be mindful and be present with the people that you're with when you are with them.
yes.
So, with my father, and I'll just share this to give you a little bit of background as to how I got to my ministry and just sharing my story to hopefully help people, even if it's just one person. So, with my father, I tell people all the time, I was very young in my legal career. I was actually working at the time at the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. I had just started with the uh, major case division. So that was where you prosecuted the high profile cases, murder cases, homicide cases. And I had just uh, tried a big murder case, and we would have our Thursday morning meetings at the DA's office. And those Thursday morning meetings would be at 8 a.m. So on this particular Thursday, my my father, I was living at home with my parents trying to save up because I had just recently gotten engaged and we were preparing for the wedding. So I'm living with my parents, saving money, all excited. And so that particular morning, my father came upstairs to my bedroom and he said, "Hey, I cooked breakfast. Wanted to know if you wanted to sit down and we just have breakfast." And I said, "No, no, 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 no. I wish I could, but I'm running late for this meeting. I'm going to this meeting to announce on my case." And so um, I rushed out the house and I barely noticed the disappointment in my father's face. And as I made it to the district attorney's office and as I was presenting, um, my father went to my bedroom and he ended his life there. And so um, for me, that changed my life in so many ways that you just never could possibly imagine. As I was dealing with my father's death, my family was just saying, "Don't tell anybody that your dad committed suicide. Tell them that your dad had a heart attack, or just tell them that it was unknown, unexplained." And so I was still trying to, you know, be, have a strong work ethic and not really dealing with uh, what happened with my dad. And so I was working long, long, long hours and had to call off the wedding because I just could not see myself walking down the aisle and not having my father there with me. So started developing a whole host of health issues. So I was going in and out of the hospital and I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. And it just caused a lot of physical and emotional problems. And so one day I actually met, and Vince, you had the opportunity to meet Alvarita Hanson,
Yes.
the late Alvarita Hanson,
Oh,
who
yeah.
was very instrumental
Oh,
in the State Bar of Georgia and just her work with Georgia Association of Black Women Attorneys. And she was just a wonderful person.
yes.
And so I shared with her about what happened with my father. And she said, maybe you should share with people about your father's death and and just your journey. And I said, well, no, I don't want to do that because people are going to think that there's something wrong with me or they're going to think that I'm crazy. So I don't want to do that. And she said, well, just think about it. She said, because it may help somebody. So there was, at the time, Alvarita was the executive director of the Chief Justice Commission on Professionalism, and we were having a continuing legal education on uh, the state bar's the new normal. And so I said, you know what, Alvarita, I'm going to do it. So I'll speak. So there's a room full of lawyers and judges and I get up there and I share, and I'm giving you the Cliff Notes version of everything that happened after my father's death with me. But I shared with them about those experiences and how it took a toll on me, both mentally and physically. And at the end of my presentation, the room was completely silent. And so it was a room of lawyers, and you could hear a pin drop. And in my mind, I started feeling anxious because I said, see, this is why I didn't want to share it because now everyone thinks that there's something wrong with me. And I know I should have done this. And
Mm,
so a couple of seconds later, people stood up and clapped. But what was instrumental about that moment was about 2 minutes later, various people were coming up and they were sharing privately, oh, my mother had some challenges, or my sister, or I've had some challenges, and I never felt comfortable saying anything about it. And, you inspired me. And so people called me, sent me emails, and I've even had people that said, just a few words that you said,
Mm,
help me, help save
mm,
me.
mm,
And so that's why I do what I do, because look, we're all in this together. It Suicide impacts everyone. It doesn't matter your race, gender, orientation, origin, any of that.
yes.
And so we've just got to be more mindful and more together and just talk about these things so we don't feel the stigma of it. And I think that's the problem that we have now. Everybody's so scared and so fearful, and we just got to talk, and we need each other. And until that we can feel comfortable with that, then we're going to suffer in silence, and we don't need to. We should not have to.
Mm. Thank you.
That's why I do it.
Yes, 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 and I thank you so much for sharing.
Okay.
And I was 18 myself, 17 when I lost my dad to suicide, and then in 2004 my oldest brother. And so there are periods, like you say, you go through a couple years that I can't even remember because I just kind of went off on the deep end and doing things, but you can come out on the other side, and it is a result of, as you said, talking about it and sharing with others, and it gives you a mission. Like now, you chairing the State Bar of Georgia Suicide Awareness and Prevention Committee,
Yes.
and recently you were speaking about the mental health crisis as specifically facing legal professionals, but those messages could be for anyone out here. I was just blown away again to watch you share the video with me. The message, because it seems like I say it's for everyone, but see, law enforcement and the legal world, there's a lot of pressure on those occupations that we hear about these things more and more.
And not only in our legal profession and law enforcement, but even as young as with our middle schoolers, as
Kids,
well as our high school students. I know one particular high school, they lost within the last 2 years, they've lost two students to death by suicide.
mm,
And so we have a crisis within the last few years. In one single year, we lost over 49,000 people to suicide.
mm,
And so we've got to understand that we need help. We
yes,
need help. And so for me, I am a true proponent of therapy. I try to see my therapist every week. I love my therapist.
yes,
And she would be very, very happy to hear that. And, so it's great. And I had another therapist. He's wonderful as well. And so they do different things. And it's just great because there's that person that is listening to you without judgment, and they don't tell you what to do, but they help you manage through the various difficulties, and without judgment. And so it gives you that opportunity to just be a better you for not only yourself but for others. And so I encourage everyone, if you can, see a therapist, counselor, whatever. And I mean that goes for a whole host of things, whether it's trying to manage stress, or a aging parent, or a child with various difficult. It's a whole host of things, and age does not matter.
that's right. That's right. And so, yeah, the encouragement to seek therapy, as well as part of my mission, our mission here at Black Mental Matters, I want to advocate for more young people to get
Mhm.
into this field, therapists culturally competent, that look like that, kind of understand where we come from. And then one idea that came to us recently was just like you have with your insurance, an opportunity once a year to get a checkup. Why couldn't that be in your insurance once a year to get a mental health checkup as well, just built in? I
Oh,
think
absolutely.
you see what I'm saying? So that
Mhm.
people, have access to these things because it's for our community, especially beyond the taboo and folks not wanting to talk about it. There could be some barriers to them, even being exposed to therapy or folks that can help them. So we, want to move things forward to help others get the help that they need. Mm.
Absolutely.
Mhm. Well, Judge, I tell you, it has really been an honor. The time goes fast. That's what tells me that it was good. I really appreciate you sharing. You're not just a judge, you're a mom, a mentor, you're a Delta, and a community pillar. Balancing all that, when you look back, Judge, what legacy do you want to build for your children and the next generation of justice leaders?
Well, I think in terms of the legacy for my not only my children, but for our entire generation of leaders, I want them to just work hard. Know that strong work ethic, but not only that, but have integrity. And
Mhm.
so, as long as they have integrity, a strong work ethic, and that just be honest, and be kind, then I'll be happy.
Mhm. Very good, very good. I want you, Judge, because I know those that are listening or watching you on video, really are absorbing what you're saying. If there's someone out there who, needs a word of encouragement right now, they're thinking about, you know, they're going down that rabbit hole, what would you say to them?
I would say to them, just remember that they're not alone, and it's always someone that you can call, and that there is always someone that cares. And so, whatever you are going through at this very moment, it is not the end. And you just have to be mindful of that. And if you are in a position in which you feel that um, you need help, there's text 988, and that will get you any type of assistance that you need. That is the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It is judgment-free support for mental health and substance abuse. But there's always someone can call, and there's nothing in life that you are going through or experiencing that is worth ending your life over. And so always remember that.
Thank you so much, Judge. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you can tell Chief Judge Shondeana Morris, true embodiment of power with purpose, justice with compassion, leadership with legacy. Her story reminds us that healing and service can walk hand in hand and that the road to justice must always pass through the heart. If you or someone you know is struggling with thoughts of suicide or mental distress, please know you're not alone. There are resources and people who care. It's okay to not be okay. Judge Morris, again, thank you so much for your voice, your work, and your witness. And until next time, wow, this is a great episode. We'll see you next time on Black Mental Matters, because your mind matters, and so does your story.
Thank you.